Happy Friday, everybody. It is August 14th, 2020. I'm meteorologist Tim Pandajis here with your tropical update. We've got a few systems to talk about, two out in the Atlantic and a whole bunch others that are popping in the Pacific right now. None named, but a lot of potential going on out there, and we'll talk about exactly why that is and why it's actually going to be moving over into the Atlantic in the short term. All right, let's first recap where we are in the overall hurricane season. 6-month season starts June 1st, goes through November 30th, and we are ascending towards the peak September 10th. Less than a month out there. Here we are on August 14th. By the way, when you look at all tropical activity, 96% of all tropical storms form in the season. There's 4% that are off-season storms. But within that season, 61% fall from August through September. Almost 2/3 of all named systems happen this month and next month. So we're getting closer to that peak out there, and activity is just going to continue to go on up. Out there right now in the Atlantic Basin, there's not a ton going on. There are two systems we're going to talk about. One that's currently named, and maybe when you're watching this video, the second will be named, which would be Kyle. That's developing off the east coast of the United States, pretty close to home. Let's start with Josephine, the only named system currently, right now, barely hanging on to that name. You need 39-mile-per-hour winds to be considered a tropical storm. Look where we're at, 40 miles per hour. So really kind of struggling out there. Doesn't really look as good on satellite presentation like it did yesterday. We're looking at the infrared imagery here. So it tells us the temperature of the cloud tops. We need really cold cloud tops, intense thunderstorm activity to kind of sustain, help to develop and organize a system. So we'd be looking for the whites and the black shadings there. Yeah, we have some, but notice it's kind of sporadic there and spread out a little bit more. Nothing really concentrated along the center. And as we switch things up and show you visible satellite imagery, we talked about this yesterday, this milky image, the central dense overcast, some of the stronger thunderstorm activity, that's a result of that. But also something that's evident here on the last couple images, possibly maybe even some west-northwesterly shear starting to influence the system a little bit, exposing the low-level clouds here out on the west side of it, and most of the thunderstorm activity is near and to the east side of that center. So we'll see if that continues to play things out. Dry air, still a problem, not getting pulled into the circulation, but it is present and right out ahead of its forecast track. The orange shading here on the water vapor imagery is extremely dry mid-levels of the atmosphere. Relative humidity values sub 50%, so very dry for tropical standards. We need that to be higher if we wanted to see this kind of develop. And I don't expect much of it to develop in the next couple of days. It's really kind of be going on its downward spiral. In terms of warm waters, yeah, it's there. There's plenty of fuel available, but it's just not taking advantage of it because of other atmospheric setups. Here's the track from the Hurricane Center going off the 11 o'clock advisory. The good news with this storm, it doesn't look to impact any land masses. As it moves out in time frame here, getting up to early Monday, it's going to start to take that turn north. And we talked about this, it's going to be influenced by an incoming trough that will introduce more shear, rip it apart, dismantle it, and also shove it northward, staying safely out to sea. Even if any of this does look to impact maybe parts of Bermuda with some outer bands, some rain showers, that'll be about it, because at this point in time, I mean, we barely have winds over 30 miles an hour. How do the models see things? Showing you the GFS ensemble here. GFS model, 21 members to it. It's basically just the same model run 21 times. We just change it a little bit to get a minor difference in the outcome. And they're all in pretty good agreement here, taking it off to the north, keeping it out to sea and away from any land. So that's the good news there. Let's talk about the secondary system that most likely now will be Kyle. If this storm develops into Kyle here in the next 12, 24 hours, maybe even sooner than that, it will be following suit with most of 2020 season so far. It'll be the earliest occurrence of the K name on record. It would beat out, guess what year? 2005. Guess what storm was the K name in 2005? Katrina. So thankfully, this is not going to be anything near what that K name was. This is going to be safely moving out to sea and away from any land masses, moving into the North Atlantic. But right now, as of the recording of this video, we're up to high percentage chances within the next 48 hours, 70% of it achieving Kyle. Now, if you're new to these videos and you haven't seen this before, and we're talking about Invest 96L, which is what it's currently designated, this is what that means. Invest stands for investigative area, followed by a number, 90 to 99. Then we recycle them. There's no real reason, just to kind of keep track. And then the L depicts that it's in the Atlantic basin. If you were to see an inverse, say 90E or something like that, E would mean the Eastern Pacific basin. So it just deciphers the two different basins. Where's this one going? Again, with the GFS members, the ensemble here, all of them take them away from the U.S. East coastline and safely out to the North Atlantic. Once you get up to here, you're going to be encountering colder sea surface temperatures, so it'll likely transition to extratropical by that point in time and not be affecting anybody. Let's jump over to the Pacific now. Lots of activity. The intertropical convergence zone here down in the south where you see all that flare-up of the thunderstorm activity. And we had Tropical Depression 10 develop from it. It's this little flare up here. It's not going to be around for very long. Atmospheric conditions aren't really good for it, upper level patterns at least. But there are several other investigative areas right now that have high potential of becoming the next named systems. 3, in fact, that are north of 70%. Why is it so active out there right now? Well, the Madden-Julian oscillation, the wide-scale lifting motion of the atmosphere, is currently pivoting through that part of the world. And guess where it's headed? It's moving eastwards. So eventually it'll be passing into the Atlantic in the next 2 weeks as we get closer to the peak of hurricane season. All right, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you don't subscribe, subscribe now and hit that like button if you feel like you want to. Until the next time, Monday, we'll see you. Have a good weekend.